Welcome to Smart Agro Innovations. Today we are going to talk about how to do cocoa nursery. We are going to talk about nursery. Nursery simply means a simple place that is responsible for taking proper care of plants before they are transplanted to the permanent field. Therefore, we are going to take good care of these crops in here before we take them to the field, and that is what nursery. So at the nursery, it's just like a baby within the nursery which is being taken care of. So there is special care that will be taken before they are fully matured and sent to the permanent field, where they will continue to grow, till maturity for harvesting. Therefore, today we will talk about cocoa production, and cocoa production starts from the nursery. Now, to start a cocoa nursery, there are certain factors that you need to take into consideration, and these factors are, first of all, you need to take the land into consideration. Now, site selection. So, if you look at where I am, there is a vast land all over, and in this, how do we select our land? It is not any possible place that you can do this sort of nursery. You need to take certain factors into prime consideration. Therefore, if you look at this place, if you look at the topography of the land, that is the first thing that you need to take into consideration. This particular land that we have here, the sloping is from here to the other end. Therefore, in such lands, you need to have a precautionary measures. So even the arrangement of the rubber bags and all those things must follow certain technical principles. So we chose this particular land because it is from this end to that end. So in this case, we cannot arrange the rubber bags from this end to that end because there is a flow of wind. Therefore, the torrencity of the wind or the speed of the wind is likely to affect the plant if you should do it this way. It means that when the wind comes from this direction, it will affect the growth of our nursery. From there, then we talk about the photo, the photo or the light, the photo intensity of the light or the strength of the land. Then we are talking about the strength of the light. I'm talking about the sunlight, the photo intensity. With this photo intensity, if you look at the way the sun rises, you have to take also into consideration it must start from this direction and end in this direction. Therefore, that is why we have these arrangements. It means that agric has also engineering part. Without all these engineering aspects, there is no way you will do this nursery and then have a successful or a fruitful management principles. If you mess up all these things, despite the amount of water, despite the amount of whatever you do, it means that you are going to work at cost 90. So we selected the land from this direction to that direction because there is an inflow of the wind. As the necessary procedure or factors to be taken into consideration, we look at availability of water or water availability. We are going to do nursery. Therefore, without water, there is no way the nursery or the plants at the early stage will survive. Therefore, these are the prime factors that you need to take into consideration. Checking the topography, then we look at the water availability. So in this particular place, we have been able to select where we are going to get our water source. So as you can see, this is the structure, and it's not far from our water source. Now, let's look at the water source. Now, simply put, we have our water source. I always say, wherever or whichever environment that you are, you need to take certain factors into consideration. Therefore, in our localized place or in our localized environment, we need to take certain factors in consideration. We do not have a motorized irrigation system. So, in our own strength, we've been able to dig this small pond, which will take care of our nursery. And this is the pond. Very clean water. All these things is seen on the surface, not because of anything. It's a clean water, very clean water. But it's just, the surface stuff. So therefore, we were able to dig out this particular water, and this is the water that we are going to use for our nursery. If you look at the all the necessary pH and everything here is similar to the soil that we are using. Therefore, it is appropriate to also choose our water source from the same environment so that there wouldn't be any differences that will occur in there. So the topography of the land has been checked, and downland we have our water. Now the pH of the water, it's almost like the soil we are using there, which is neutral. So that is how it is. So this is our pond, a very permanent source of water. So in doing the nursery, you must take all these factors into simple consideration so that you can reach at a particular height that you want to go. Able to talk about the topography of the land. So we have known how to select our land. Now we pointed at our permanent source of water for the whole project. Now we are going to start the whole action. That is the rubber bags that we are going to do. So all these things that we have here are how to fill the bags. Now with the soil, sometimes you can use the most appropriate soil is organic soil with highest organic matter. So appropriately, it is good to get like black soil. But since black soil is not all that available in every environment, we decide to use a simple loamy soil which has a soil characteristics close to that of a black soil. Therefore, in filling the sack, this is a sack, a rubber sack that we are going to fill. Now you put it inside. We try to make everything practical for our audience to get a full understanding. Without a certificate or any knowledge in agriculture, you can do something agriculture. That is why we say smart agro innovation, because we serve our subscribers with massive ideas. Now we have our rubber filled. It should be full enough. It should be full enough with the necessary debris. Now we have it here. Upon getting this, then we try as much as possible keep this. As you can see, we have a lot of these rubbers being filled here, but for practical purpose we are using one for this experiment. Now this is our cocoa pod. We have a cocoa pod. Let's assume we have this. This is our cocoa pod. This is a cocoa pod with everything inside. These are the cocoa beans in there. This is a simple cocoa bean, and it's tasty. As a farmer, you can enjoy some. With the natural sugar and the sucrose. I don't feel comfortable. I use this as my food. That's why I chew all the time. After everything, getting this type of fruit, these are the beans. So, during the planting, there are two parts. This is the apex. You have it here. And then this is where the breakage of cotyledon and all those things will take place. So therefore, in planting or during the sowing, you put it in here. Now, you do it like this. The apex is here. This is where we have the eye. So, you do it in this direction. as simple as possible. Then you cover it with soil. So that is how basically it is done. Sometimes the soil, the water content in the soil might be low. So it is always appropriate. Before sowing, you must do your watering to make the place conducive for the seeds. Yeah. So you've been able to water the whole bag. We are waiting till the water drain to the So that's how it is. Now, after everything, you can also do with the sowing. Sometimes the active growing part is very necessary, but in sowing you can also do it like this. You can lie it horizontally. So you have the horizontal sowing. You put it in like this, horizontally, so that you cover it, so that the seedling or the cotyledon can break at any angle at all and give us the seed. Once we get our seedling, we nurture it till maturity, and then we send it to the permanent field. Now we are about to move to the main field for the actual work to begin. So let's go. This is just a sample, just to let you know what actually happens on ground. Let's move on to the permanent field where we are doing our massive work. If you look at this direction, we have most of our bags being laid in here in rows, beautifully displayed as we have. So this is what we term as packing. We have done the packing as nice as it is. In between, you can separate them basically about 2 feet, which is approximately 60 centimeters, because by approximately 1 feet is about 30 centimeters. So now we have 60 centimeters in between rows, as nice as we have. So we move along, we do our packing as it has already been done in rows as it is. And back to the topography. We didn't do it this way because if you look at the topography of the land, it slopes from this direction to that direction. So we cannot arrange our bags in this direction. It's wrong. So we have it in this direction because there's an inflow of wind. And then also when it rains, all those things, all these excessive rains will pass through the drains. So this will also serve as ditches. So when there is massive rain, the rain will not stand in, but it will just flow to that direction, to our source of water. Within 14 days, which is 2 weeks after sowing, you begin to see something like this. You begin to see something like this. And then there is a breakage of the cotyledon, as you can see, before it begins to form the leaves. So that is how it is. So within 2 weeks, this is what we are likely to see during cocoa nursery production. All these seedlings that you see here is not something magical. It's physical. That follows the principle of science and agriculture, that is crop science. So with this, all these seedlings, all these cocoa seedlings that you see here are 2 weeks old. They move from the cotyledon stage to this stage, and they are within the third stage or the third week, which is 21 days. So all these seedlings that you see here are all 21 days seedlings as they are. So within 21 days or 3 weeks, these are the results you are likely to see in this environment. So in producing cocoa nursery, these are simple stages that we all need to take into consideration. If you look at the leaves, we have the 10 leaves, everything emerging nicely, very, very healthy as it is.
This one for
so this is the third week. This is the close to maturity state. That's what I'll put it. This is the 4th week or the 30th day old seedlings. Now let's look at the 21 day seedlings. This is how they look like. The leaf is not all that green. I think the chlorophyll is not all that in there. Now let's move on to the 1 month old. You can see that the leaves are a little bit green than the 21 days one, meaning they are close to maturity. Therefore, they have the 14 days one. Over there we had the 21 days, and this is the 30th day or the 4th week seedlings of cocoa. That is how it looks like. We have a big side here, and that is how they all look like. But before you can get this, you need to follow the phytosanitary principles and then also the necessary cultural practices. The basic cultural practices that need to be performed on this particular age of cocoa is watering. Once it lacks water, it means that it's going to develop something strange. So at this stage, it needs, in fact, frequent watering. That is why we have our source of water there. So every morning, we do our watering to make sure that everything is in shape. You need to apply water frequently to enhance rapid growth of our seedlings. So because of that, this is our watering can, and then we have the water in there, everything is in shape. Now in everything, people doubt. They think that in a big nursery like this, maybe we use fertilizer or something, or chemicals. No, this is a purely organic production. Therefore, the soil is already rich in organic matter. So therefore, we do not apply any booster, any growth hormone, or any growth booster. So we have it here. Now let's do our watering. This is the watering can. You do it nicely as I'm doing, so that you make sure the place is fully wet, so they can grow nicely. After watering, you can look at the surface of the leaves. It looks so nice, as you can do, and it looks so natural. Our water is almost finished. We're going to fetch another one. Now we almost have everything that we need to do, right from the preparatory stage, as we have here, to our 2 weeks here, to the 4th week. Now we are moving you through the entire area of our nursery to see the various stages. But before I go, let me chip in this. With the soil selection, sometimes in many cases where the soil is not loamy or doesn't contain high amount of organic matter, we use what is called soilless media or the cocoa pitch. It's just like sawdust. That is the shells of coconuts, of which they grind to get that fine tilt. So we, in place of the soil, the actual soil, in places where you don't get loamy soil, you need, instead of, you don't use sandy, don't use anything, you can use cocoa pitch as it is here. Now let's continue. We have the various stages, so let's move on to where it has been. We'll move you through 2 months year old seedlings, 3 months year old seedlings to 4 months year old seedling. Let's go. Full nursery, very huge land, very big place. You can see these cocoa seedlings here. They are 2 months year old. 2 months old. So which is about 60 days old. All the seedlings you see here are 60 days old. So that is how they look like. Now let's move on to a 90 days old seedlings. So these are 90 days old seedlings, almost close to 3 months. These are 3-month year seedlings. What we see here are 4 months old, which is 120 days seedlings. So in all, we got to get about 6 months old seedlings before we can do transplanting in cocoa nursery. So all these fields that you see are full of cocoa seedlings, really doing well. Sometimes we look at diseases and pest management. Sometimes you see white flies early morning when you shake the leaves. You will see white flies moving away. But organically, because we think about the environment, we do not use any synthetic chemical. What we use is neem extract, garlic. We use that to spray our seedlings once it turns 2 weeks. That is immediately during the growth, the actual growth, when it starts removing or moving to the stage where the leaves are to be formed.